So Betsy, tell me, also for those of you who didn't hear, like Betsy was one of our recent guests on Blunt Dissection, and that blew up. Like that is people have. I don't think I've had an episode where people have sent more, been more profoundly moved or made more comments or
Awesome.
shown more love for you, Betsy. So
That's awesome.
I think your message resonated, and I hope that you received lots of love in return and support. So thank you again.
I think it makes a difference, right? Like I don't want any of that story to have been in vain. And so that means a lot to me that it, if I can share a little bit about my experience, then, and that helps somebody to be, better able to navigate that tension, right, between the good and the terrible, then that's a win. And I know that my late husband is smiling because of that, right? Like that's one of the things that he and I talked about all the time is we don't want this to have been in vain. And so I think that's awesome.
Okay, so I want to ask you a little bit first about that because it feels like I was very excited. Betsy and I have literally planned this for minutes. Betsy saw on Instagram this morning when I was up, and then she was up, and
I was up like it was just, let's be clear, I was up at 2 a.m. and I just happened to, like, I was trying to work on something yesterday and it wasn't working out. And I just woke up in the middle of the night with some inspiration. And so it's 2 a.m. and then I see that you've posted something on Instagram that tagged me. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I love that. And so I was in the middle of typing a message to you at 2 a.m. And then you pop up and it's like, hey, Betsy, how are you?
I'm like,
what? That
Can we play?
Yeah, that's awesome. And then like we start having a conversation. Then you're like, wait, why aren't you sleeping? I'm like, yeah.
This is a thing right now because that has happened rather a lot with a lot of my dear friends in the US who I've either received mail at ridiculous o'clock or I've been messaging them something and I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
There's a lot of broken patterns, anxiety, strain, stresses, things that didn't exist before or have absolutely been put under the microscope before. Talk to us about the place, the journey you've been. You just used a phrase, and it was it's the phrase that you use, and it gets me to use another of your phrases in the fields. This this place between the tension between the terrible and the good and the wonderful. This feels like, first part of question then is, what do you mean by that? And second part is, perhaps as that is revealed, what wisdom is there for you and how are you navigating this through the Betsy lens?
Yeah. So for me, and so for those of you who don't know, so my husband was diagnosed with ALS in late 2016. I mean, we didn't actually get the official diagnosis until 2017, but he knew what was going on. And so he and I walked through 2 years of a pretty brutal disease. And then I've spent this last year. So he passed away in January of 2019. So I spent the year of 2019 trying to learn how to navigate this new normal. And so in the midst of that, I mean, I was married to an extraordinary man. Drake was an extraordinary man. And he, like, ALS is a brutal disease. And he decided right from the beginning, and our faith plays a big role in this, that he was going to be hopeful and joyful in the midst of intense suffering, and and our faith informs that, right? So we believe that Jesus did that on our behalf. This is an opportunity for us to experience that, and so he did this incredible job of always looking for the good. And so I, as a result of that, did too. And I think the two of us together, you know, we were high school sweethearts. We'd been married by the time he was diagnosed. We'd been married for 25 years, and so we had a long pattern of always trying to look for the positive. I think that that's a good skill set for managing this tension, which is life is hard, and it's going to be challenging, and we're going to be faced with things that push us to our limits and and tax everything that we know how to do. And that's a reality. And I never want to forget that that's a reality, and it's okay to be there. It's okay to feel that, and it's okay to sit in it for a little bit. Right. So, but I think that you can't stay there, right? You can't stay in that space. You've got to have a skill set that helps you get out of it. And that's kind of what I mean by navigating the tension between the two, right? Like if I don't have a skill set, I can't effectively do that navigation. And so I just, and then, I mean, you know, like I'm constantly trying to think about all the things I learned through that journey. But one of the most important things I learned is I have today. And so what do I need to know, and what do I need to do today in order to navigate the good and the terrible? And so if that means, and because I'm pretty vocal about how I do that, and Drake and I tried to live that very transparently through our journey. I've tried to live that as a widow. I've tried to, you know, like sometimes I feel super old and like I don't have that much time left, but the reality is I'm very young to have lost my person. And so how do I navigate, you know, it's fairly terrible, but it's also really, really good. And so what are the skill sets I need to be able to acknowledge the terrible that's always going to be there, in my opinion, this side of heaven, and then look for the good and find the good and focus on the good. Because when I do that, you know, all the research points us to gratitude as the way out of our spirals. And so I think, I mean, there's so many things that have prepared me for, like, to me, I feel like what we're experiencing is nothing because of what I've already experienced. And so as I'm trying to think about, okay, what's my role in this pandemic? My role, I think, is to talk about how do you navigate that tension and what are the skill sets that we need? And my role at the Veterinary Leadership Institute, that's what I'm trying to, I mean, that's what allowed me to be successful in the valley of the shadow of death, right? Like I've been teaching veterinarians how to be resilient for 15 years. I have all the skill sets. Does it make it easier? I mean, I say this all the time. Does it make it easier for me to work them? No, it sucks. But I know what to do. And that was a huge advantage for me. And now we sit here and I'm like, it's hard for me not to say, come on, you guys, we got this. This is nothing. But it isn't nothing. It's something. It's huge for people. And so whatever I can do to help, I mean, I just don't think we should run from the terrible, but I don't think we should sit in it for too long, if that makes sense.
That does make a lot of sense. And right now it feels like we are almost, you know, it feels like we're in this big, and what I'm going to describe is the wrong descriptor. But you know, the fairground, the machines, you go in, the fair machines, you'd stick to the wall, the big centrifuges, basically.
Yeah, totally.
The wall. It's not like that. It's more like the ride of death, where it's the same thing. You're zooming on the motorbike on the way out, and the door's just there. It's there. Just go there.
Yeah.
But we're stuck on this.
Yep.
And it's almost like that tension is the ride, and we've been sucked into it. And I found that the news cycle. I found myself, actually, it was a moment of awareness that I was struggling a lot. I describe it as picking up boulders that were not in my way, and trying to move them out of my not way, and just wasting energy, and then feeling like crap for two reasons. One, I got involved in an unwinnable fight, which is every conversation on Facebook beyond. And then the other part was, I was doing it with people who were friends, and I'm like, what are you doing exactly? This is not healthy. and there's just so much noise. So as you're talking there, the question that came into mind, but you know, if I'm riding a bike, I have handlebars, I have gears, I have pedals, I have brakes, and if I point it that way, I know how to steer. If I'm driving my car, I have a steering wheel, I have a gear stick or gear lever. I have indicators or flashlight. What do you call those things? Blinkers, like
blinkers. Yeah,
the things that to show you the direction. We call them indicators. Yeah. If you're flying a plane, you have a joystick. You have ailerons, or flaps, or things that help you. This isn't any of those things, yet you're talking about tools to navigate. What are the things? How do we steer this thing when this thing feels like, you know, a lot of us, moments happen to us and none of us gets a free hit in life. Like that seems extremely clear. And your hit was brutal and early and terrific's not the right word, but do you know what I mean when I use that word?
Yeah, it was I mean, when I describe it to people, because I mean, anytime, and I don't use when Drake was sick and alive, we didn't use the term ALS very often because we didn't want to give it more power than it deserved, I guess. But I tell people, like, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, and it was the most beautiful, amazing thing I've ever done in my life. And I wouldn't trade it. And that's I wouldn't trade it. I miss him every day, and yet I am also like, there's so much more, and I believe I'll see him again, and there's a hope that I have that informs how I'm able to go forward with joy and peace and all those things. But I think that you're exactly right. We are trying to navigate this really hard thing, and we do need tools and we need skills to be able to do that. And I'm just thankful that I was equipped with those before I walked into my biggest fear, right? Like if you had asked Drake and I at the beginning, what's your biggest fear? His biggest fear was always ALS. And my biggest fear was being without Drake. And so we feel like God said, okay, let's go. I'm going to walk you right out on your biggest fear, and I'm going to meet you there, and I'm going to show you what you need every day. And I think like the skill for me is if I look at what was happening yesterday, it's a disaster. If I look at especially in this scenario that we're facing, if we look too far in front, it's overwhelming. So I got today. What do I got to do today to make a difference? And so then in that, for me personally, I have a super strict morning routine. Like I know if I don't start my day right, I'm a mess. So my day has a very strict way that it starts. And it's funny because my alarm goes off at 3:14 a.m. And so I get up very, very early. Wait, and so 2 a.m. wasn't that
when you were messaging.
Yeah, but I also go to bed really, really early. But I know that I didn't do my routine yesterday and I was a mess. And then I'm like, nope, I got to get back in the routine. I've got to do. So that to me, that's a skill set that sets me up for success, positive navigation in the day. Yeah. You know, and then there's all the things that the mental health professionals tell us, right? You've got to sleep. You've got to eat. You've got to move. You've got to be connected to people, and you've got to know yourself.
Okay.
And that looks different for like what works for me isn't necessarily going to work for you, but those are kind of core principles that we all need every day.
So the question burning to get out of my face right here is, what is your, because this is exactly what I notice. If I get sucked down the rabbit hole early, the day is done. It's basically a write-off in terms of effective. Everything has changed. Whatever, my veterinary hospital is going to be somewhere between 60 and 90% down from day to day on where it used to be. My speaker business, poof, gone.
Yep. Everything that I have scheduled through August, gone.
Oh, right. So there's a lot more time. I always feel like when you've got less actual work and money generating opportunities, you've got so much more time to spend. But my time is of zero value if I do the wrong things in the morning. I'm curious what your morning routine looks like, and then I'll share what mine looks like in a good day, and I'll share what it looks like on a bad day. And as you talk, I'm going to just, my damn power cord came undone. So before it goes down, I'm just going to put it back in. But I'm here.
Okay. Yep. So my morning routine starts at 3:14. I get out of bed and I sit quietly for about an hour, maybe a little over an hour, and I ask 2 questions.
Okay.
What do you want me to know? And you know, and that's to me, that's prayer. So I'm praying, but you know, so whatever.
So what do you ask? Are you able to share what you ask?
Yeah. I ask, what do you want me to know? And what do you want me to do today? And then I just sit quietly and listen. And I usually try to not do anything, no writing or anything like that. I just try to be quiet and listen. And then I may, after 10, 15 minutes, I may write if I hear something, or, you know, I write. And then, that's how I typically try to start my day, in terms of, and then I do CrossFit at 5 a.m. and I have an unbelievable, amazing community at my CrossFit gym. Helped me significantly navigate that first few months without Drake. So my 5 a.m. peeps are like, I need my time with them. So we work out, and we're still doing that via Zoom right now. So I work out, I get home from CrossFit, and then Sadie and I go on a walk. I have very specific playlists that I listen to during my walk with Sadie. I come home, I sit in the sauna for 15 minutes. I go jump in the pool, and right now it's freezing cold. This morning it was freezing cold, and it's just a quick jump in.
Where are you in the country, Betsy?
I'm in Southern California.
Okay. Oh, it could be colder.
Yeah, it could be colder, but it is like for me, I think the pool's right around 40 something degrees right now. So it's chilly. Yeah. I jump in the pool, then I go get ready for my day. And so my day right now, my day starts at about 8:30. And I usually, you know, I'll go take a shower, get ready. I'll have some breakfast. Yep. And then 8:30 is when my day starts. So by the time my day starts, I've already moved, I've already connected, I've already written, I've got all those things done. So then the rest of the day is just, to me, being obedient to what I've been told, as far as what I need to know and what I need to do. And then I just do those things. Okay.
So I had 2 questions following on from that. The less interesting one, which you can leave alone if you want, is what's your routine I'm assuming it's like some high impact training type thing indoors. I'd love to hear a little more on that. And I mean routine as in your CrossFit. Yeah. And the more interesting one to me is, what are some of the answers you get to the question? Like, what do those answers look like?
That's the question I love. I mean, I don't like working. I don't like exercising necessarily. I like the benefit. I like my energy level. I like how my body feels. I like all those things. And so I just do whatever the CrossFit coaches tell me to do. And I have it's an amazing gym. It's not, you know, whenever anybody hears about, you know, it's not to me, it's not a typical CrossFit gym, because what it's about, like one of the original owner of the gym, there's a couple things he always said to me, like, Betsy, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that applies in exercise, but I think it also hugely applies in just life. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Yeah. And then he also would say, you got to live to lift another day. Which means we're not going to go balls to the wall if you're not, like, if you can't do the activity the way I want you to do, or the exercise the way I want you to do it, we're going to lighten the load. We're going to modify. And that's not a typical CrossFit mentality. And then they're super big about community. It's a family. And so those things are huge. Like, the exercise doesn't necessarily matter to me as much as those other things, but, I just do what they say. I know nothing about how to keep myself fit. Really.
All right. So the more interesting question.
Yeah. What do I hear? I often hear, so it's often about people. And for me, so I believe that we were all created for a very specific purpose on this earth. And so I mean, I'm not shy about saying what I think God calls me is a passionate, bright healer. And not a healer in the physical sense. I think it's more a healer in the spiritual, emotional sense or whatever. And so most of what I hear is you need to go be you, Betsy, in the world, because when you're you, that changes things in a good way. And so, and I've been thinking a lot about that because right now, I mean, in full disclosure, right? Like my husband was an amazing truth speaker in my life. And so and I've battled with the demons of you're not good enough, you don't have what it takes, you're not important, blah, blah, blah. Well, Drake was an amazing person of, like, he just was my truth speaker.
How did he deliver truth in a way that was great? Because a lot of people can deliver it in a very ugly just not the right moment. And
yeah.
It just sounds incredible. I'm so keen to hear a little bit more about it.
Well, I mean, he wrote me notes. Like we had all these habits in our marriage way early on. We worked for a basketball camp company that was super positive, and so we developed all kinds of these little things to teach kids, like how do you be a superstar in life, right? And one of those things was a shout out. And, we have very specific rules for a shout out. And so Drake and I were always speaking truth, like just talking about the good things about who you are. And of course he would say hard things to me too, but most of the time he was saying, Betsy, you're amazing. You have a story to tell. You're so, you're so smart. You're so good with people. You're so, and he'd write me notes. We got in the habit of texting each other, those kinds of things all the time. And so it was just this constant, him speaking into like, no, you were made to do that, like you're going to be an amazing veterinarian. When I was struggling to get through my written boards in radiology, he's like, you can work hard, you can make changes to be successful, all of those kinds of things. And when he passed away, that was a big loss in my life in terms of, and so I'm what's interesting to me is I've now, in this time that we're in, a lot of how I got my worth came from speaking engagements.
Yeah.
Doing the veterinary leadership experience. So our organization does a big leadership thing every June. We made the tough decision last week to cancel it. So all these things that I have kind of been replacing Drake's voice, like, okay, well, as long as I have speaking gigs, then I'm important and then I matter.
Yeah.
Well, now everything's been stripped away, and I'm struggling a little bit with what's my voice and who am I? So to circle back to your question, what do I hear? This is what I've heard. And you and I've kind of talked about this profound experience I had on Saturday. It's go be you to the profession. Mm-hmm. You were made, everything in your life has led up to this moment in history for you to encourage the people in your profession. Like, we're an amazing profession. We have amazing skill sets that should be used right now in this time. And I want to be the biggest cheerleader I can possibly be for all those people that are on the front line, because you don't want me on the front line right now. I'm a radiologist. I mean, I could probably put catheters in and be safe, from an infectious disease standpoint. I know I could do that if I needed to, but I think what I'm supposed to do is be the behind the scenes. You guys got this. What do you need? Do you need me to pray? Do you need me to speak some truth in your life? Call me, text me, message me on Facebook, because that's what I do. I sit and I just say, okay, Lord, who needs my help? Who needs to know that they're amazing and that they can do this, and that, or who needs, like, often I get people, I've got a good friend she's one of my CrossFit peeps. She's works in a cardiac cath lab. Well, they're not doing cardiac cath procedures right now, and she's doing all kinds of stuff that's super hard. And sometimes she just needs somebody to sit in the suck with her. And I'm good at sitting in the suck. And so if you need somebody to sit in the suck and say, yeah, this sucks, and tell me about it, and what do you want to talk about, and what's hard, and to describe those things to me, then I'll do that. So whatever whatever comes. So I think that's, I just keep hearing, Betsy, go be you. Stop trying to be somebody that you're not. Stop being afraid of being you. I mean, you and I were talking, I just launched Dr. Betsy Charles. You guys go see it, because I got these two social media gurus, because I know diddly squat, and they're just like, Betsy, you got to do this. And so they're helping me, and they made this cute little cartoon of me that makes me kind of want to throw up a little bit. But
DrBetsyCharles.com.
no, I don't know. I don't know if the website's up. The Instagram. We're starting on Insta.
Right. Betsy, on that note, and thank you to everyone who's shown up. Thank you for your questions and your comments. One or two of them we didn't get to today, but we'll probably address them tomorrow. So show up tomorrow. We'll be doing more Q&A tomorrow. We'll have more guests in the future. And please check out VLI.com, or is it Veterinary Leadership
VeterinaryLeadershipInstitute.org. Yeah, so we're a nonprofit. We're a 501c3. Yep.
Okay. All right. So .org. Check out Betsy's new Instagram.
Dr. Betsy Charles. You guys got to go follow me. So I feel like I have 8 followers right now. So go follow VLI, because we've got we're trying to just give you guys stuff so that you can thrive in this challenging time that we're living in. So,
and be safe, be well, and be happy wherever you are.
All right.